أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحابته ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم لا علم إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اشرح صدورنا وافتح قلوبنا ونقي وطهر عيوبنا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وصلي اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الكرام، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surat al-Baqarah, which is 267, He says, O you who believe. And any time Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, if you ever hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu fastami'u, listen up whenever Allah says Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. This is harf nida, and there's a tanbih there. It's the way you call somebody to attention. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. It's tanbih. You're calling somebody to attention. Listen up. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. Give out, expend from the good that you have earned. In other verses in the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Right? From what we provided them, they gave out. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. Give out from the good of what you have earned. You see, again, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is honoring Bani Adam. He's saying, give out from the good of what you have earned. How did you earn it? How did you earn it? Allah gave you the qudra, He gave you the ilm, He gave you the taqah, He gave you all the means by which you earn something. So did you really earn it? If I've empowered you to do everything, and then you do it after I've empowered you to do it, do you really feel like you did it, or do you feel like this person is the one that enabled me to do this? Had it not been for him, I couldn't have done it. So in reality, al-fadl ya'ud ilay, the real benefit of it goes back to that person. But Allah is saying, أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. Give out from the good that you have earned. The kisb is your livelihood, right? But this can be, you can extend this beyond that, because you can say, your knowledge is acquired. Unless you're a prophet, your knowledge is acquired, right? Prophecy is غير مكتسب. You don't earn prophecy, it's given as a mohiba from Allah. But there are knowledges, there are mawahib laduniya, there's gifts from Allah, but there's also things that you have earned. Imam al-Sawi says, لا ينال العلم متعاطي العلم كسبيا كان أو وهبيا إلا بجد وتعب واجتهاد. That the one attempting seeking knowledge will not acquire knowledge, whether it's kasbi or wahbi. Those are the two types of knowledge. Whether it's something you earn or something given to you as a gift. It won't be given to you without effort. Even if you look at the prophecy. The Prophet ﷺ, before his message came, what was he doing? What was he doing? He was meditating in the cave. He was going up and he was fasting and he was in his cave and he was meditating. He wasn't sitting in his house. He was out looking for God. The prophecy wasn't earned. He did not earn it because he was meditating. But you don't, even what's given to you as a gift is given from something. That's the nature of the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that they're given with effort. So, was wahbiyan kasbiyan kana or wahbiya? That's how you get either one. So, though you go out and you earn things. Now, this verse is saying, مِن طَيِّبَاتِ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ, from the good of what you have earned. What does that mean? What does that mean? If you have when you look at verses in the Qur'an, you can also look in many of the verses at what's known as the mafhum al-mukhalafa, right? Which is the opposite. This is the mafhum here, mantuq al-kitab here. Allah is saying, give out what you have earned. So what is the opposite of that? What's the mafhum al-mukhalafa? If it says give out from the good, then what is understood there? Don't give out from the bad. Don't give out from the bad. وَيَجْعَلُونِ لِلَّهِ مَا يَكْرَهُونَ. They give to Allah what they don't want for themselves. That's what people do. You see, people will give their deen. What do they give to their deen? It's like somebody in the East, he said, my first son, he's brilliant and he's going to medical school. My second son, he's a good student, he's going to engineering. My third son, he's not very intelligent, we're sending him to the madrasa to learn Sharia. That's not exaggerated. There's people, that's what they do. Now, the people that go to Sharia college are the people with the lowest grades. وَيَجْعَلُونِ لِلَّهِ مَا يَكْرَهُونَ. They give to Allah what they don't want. That's what Muhammad al-Ghazali, the Egyptian scholar, rahimahullah, there was a brilliant young boy who was blind. And they put him in, Al-Azhar traditionally had a place for blind people, which is beautiful. In this culture, what did they do with blind people? They had to beg. In the Muslim world, they had special sections in the Islamic schools for blind, so they could become ulama. Right? And one of the things that blind people, Allah gave them real openings because they don't have the fitna of the eye, they don't look at the haram, so their hearts remain pure. But this young boy went and he was a brilliant student. But they did an operation and he was cured of his blind because it was a blindness that could be treated. And he got his sight back and he was so brilliant. They took him out of the Sharia school and they put him into another school to head towards medicine. And Shaykh Muhammad al-Ghazali, when he heard that, he said, وَيَجْعَلُونِ لِلَّهِ مَا يَكْرَهُونَ. They give to Allah. When he was blind, they gave him to Allah. When he got his sight back, he goes for something else. So when Allah is saying, give from the best of what you have earned, where did you earn it from? Allah gave it to you in the first place. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. From what we give them, they give out. So give out good. Don't give out the radi. And this comes from a hadith. When a man came, he gave something worthless as charity. And the Prophet said, it's bi'sa ma sana'a. What a terrible thing he's done. Right? This is not sadaqah. This is like a rummage sale at church. Now even some of the mosques in America have rummage sales. What are a rummage sale? You know what a rummage sale is? It's when people get the worst things in their house that they want to throw away, and they go and donate it to the church. It's just an easy way of dumping stuff. Most of it they just throw out. So they give it to the church instead. Right? That's what they do. That's a rummage sale. You rummage around, look at things you're not using, things that you don't want anymore. People, when they're going to throw away things, we'll donate it. So go donate it to someone. I mean, people donate. Mosques get computers that are, 186 or something like that, if they even have that one. Now I don't even know what it is. But they give them these old computers. Oh, we want to give sadaqah to the masjid. Keep your sadaqah. Really, keep the sadaqah. It's garbage. That's all you're doing. You're just getting rid of your garbage, and maybe you want to feel good about getting rid of your garbage. I don't know. But that's not what Allah is asking us to give out. He's saying, give out min tayyibati ma kasabtum, from the good of what you have earned. Now, look at the beauty of the Sharia. When Mu'adh ibn Jabal was sent to Yemen, the Prophet ﷺ told him, first call them to La ilaha illallah. That's tawheed. And that's awlawiyat. When you go to somebody, you don't say, you know what? you have to give up drinking, you have to give up fornication, you have to give up. He might be enjoying all those things. And then you tell him because La ilaha illallah. See, and then he says, no, I can't give up all these things. Why are you doing that to that person? Tell him first, La ilaha illallah. If he accepts that, he's a Muslim. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Now he's a Muslim. He can be a bad Muslim. Better a bad Muslim than a good kafir. Really. It's better to be a bad Muslim than a good kafir. Not in this world. Right? In this world, you would prefer a good kafir to a bad Muslim because of mu'amalat. You know, you'd rather, if you have a choice between dealing with a bad kafir, a good kafir in his mu'amalat, he's honest, he's upright, and you have a bad Muslim, you're going to choose the good kafir because that's for dunya. But for akhirah, that bad Muslim has better chance. Right? So let him in. It's like Shaykh Abdullah, Sayyid Abdullah, he was from Comoro Islands. He was a scholar that I met years ago. But he was once, one of the imams at the Central Mosque asked him to go meet this doctor, English doctor. And he went and he said, I've been talking to this man, but we have a problem. So he said, he went to the English doctor and he met him and he said, what's the problem? He said, Islam is amazing. I've been treating Muslim patients and I've read about it and I just realized that this is the truth and he said, Alhamdulillah, then you're a Muslim. And the Imam was saying, no, tell him the rest, what you told me. He said, well, I have a problem. He said, what's that? He said, I work, I'm a physician, I do surgeries, I have that praying on those times is very difficult. I won't be able to stop doing things, this and that. He said, yeah, and what else? Tell him more. What else did you tell me? He said, well, the zakat is fine. I don't have any problem with that. I can do that. But that fasting, I'm diabetic, I can't fast. And he said, Alhamdulillah. And then he said, what else? He said, well, Hajj also. He said, I have agoraphobia. I don't like to be in big crowds, and the idea of going on Hajj is just too much. He said, what else? He said, well, I drink a glass of wine every night. I've done it all my life. And Shaykh Abdullah, he listened to all that. And then, now you can't put stipulations on coming into Islam. But what he told me, he said, you know what? I can take you around the Muslim world and introduce you to thousands, maybe tens of thousands of Muslims that don't pray, they don't fast, they even drink. They do things, but they're Muslim, because if you say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you're Muslim. And that's Miftah al-Jannah. Don't put barriers in people coming into Islam. Let them come into Islam. And then let them work it out. That's what the Prophet ﷺ did. There were Sahaba that they still kept drinking alcohol. Sahaba. It's in Sahih al-Bukhari. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab did the had punishment on his own son for drinking. Umar ibn al-Khattab. A Muslim can do things that aren't right, they're wrong. He's still a Muslim. We're not Khawarij. People want the iman of angels. They're Muslim now, they expect if somebody becomes Muslim, they have to be an angel. Why? Why you expect that from somebody? Just let people come into Islam. And don't expect anything from them other than La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, because if they believe that, according to the hadith, they enter Jannah sooner or later. Right? So when he sent this man, he told him, call them to La ilaha illallah, Mu'adh bin Jabal. And then he said, if they answer that, tell him Allah farada alayhim khams salawat fin nar. Allah has made 5 prayers. This is awlawiyat, prioritizing. Now you tell him about prayer. He's agreed to Tawheed. Now you tell him prayer. فَإِذَا أَجَابُوكَ, if they come to that. These are people of the book. He said that you're going to meet people. سَتَلْتَقِي بِقَوْمٍ Ahli Kitab. You're going to meet people that are from the people of the book in Yemen, meaning Jews, because there were a lot of Jews in Yemen. Call them to this, call them to... And then he said, and then, if they answer that, tell them that Allah farada alayhim zakata amwalihim. تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد إلى فقرائهم وإياك وكرائم أموالهم وإياك وكرائم أموالهم. And woe to you in taking the best of their wealth. Don't take the best of their wealth. That's why in zakat, in the rules of zakat, when you learn zakat, you take the middle. You don't take the worst and you don't take the best. You take the wasat of the animals. You don't go in and take the best bulls they have. You don't take the best camels they have. You take the middle. You don't take the worst. وَيَجْعَلُونَ لِلَّهِ مَا يَكْرَهُونَ. They give to Allah what they don't want for themselves. You're relieving them by taking their weak animals, their sick animals. No, you take the middle. That's what. But when Allah asks us to give, when you take, you don't take the best. That's rahmah from Allah. But when He tells us to give the best. Give the best of what you have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? مِن طَيِّبَاتِ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ. And what we have brought forth from the earth for you. Right? That means a zakat of khadrawat, the green, the giving zakat of grain, giving zakat of dates. I mean, there's a khilaf. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu said you give zakat to everything that comes out of the earth, and that was his proof from this ayah. The other imams have hadith that they believe khassasu. The hadith khassasat al-ayah, because the ayah is it's amma, it's a general ayah. Give out from what we have brought forth from the earth for you. وَلَا تَيَمَّمُوا الْخَبِيثِ. And don't seek out the foul. مِنْهُ تُنْفِقُونَ وَلَسْتُمْ بِآخِذِيهِ. You wouldn't take it yourselves. Don't give out what you yourselves wouldn't even take. Right? Because people, they donate computers that are pieces of junk. They wouldn't take them if somebody offered them to them. Why are you giving it if you wouldn't take it yourself? That's what Allah is saying. Why are you giving something you wouldn't even take yourself? Right? وَلَسْتُمْ بِآخِذِيهِ إِلَّا أَن تُغْمِضُوا فِيهِ. Unless you overlook it. So something could also, the haram. If you give something that's haram, there's people that take their things that are haram. Profits that are haram. It's haram. There's haram profit. They give those out. Right? If you knew what it was, you wouldn't do it. But you'll only take it if you overlook it. If you, ghamad al-ayn means to close the eye. So that's what Allah is saying. That you wouldn't take it unless you close your eye. It's like bribes. They bribe, they take it from the back. Kind of like not looking. Right? Close the eye. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Allah is ghani. See, again, He's reminding you, I'm not asking this of you because I need it. Don't think, I'm not asking this of you. See, you have to understand, this message that Allah has sent, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this message. Allah doesn't need any of this. It's for your benefit, not for the poor people. Even when you give zakat, don't think you're benefiting anybody. It's your benefit. And that's why the sunnah of giving zakat is to put your hand under and have theirs over. Because they're better than you. See, now people look at it like contempt, looking down on people. No, you're supposed to actually see them as they're doing you a favor. You're not doing them a favor. Why? خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. Take from their wealth. This charity. Why? Because it purifies them. You're purifying yourself in giving charity. That's what you're doing. So when you're giving this poor person, that's his haqq. When you give somebody their rights, you don't feel better than them. You don't feel better. If you're giving somebody their haqq, it's a right. That's a right that Allah has given that person. So all you're doing is fulfilling a duty. When you fulfill a duty, don't feel that you're doing something. You're just doing the bare minimum. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm cleaning my mother now. She was old and decrepit in her bed. He said, I'm cleaning my mother the way she used to clean me. Is this birr? Is this what birr al-walidain is, showing them righteousness? And he said, no. This is equity. This is mukafa'a. You're just doing for her now what she did for you. Don't think this is extra. This is payback. That's all it is. You loan somebody something, you give it back. When your parents get old, you're supposed to take care of them. Why? Because look what they did for you for the first 15 years of your life. And look how Allah, His adl is that it's usually about 15 years of their life in which they don't have strength. Isn't it? Somebody till they're 65, 70, they're fine. If they live to be 80, you might spend 10 years looking after your parent. Well, what about the 10 years, the 15 years your mother spent? What about the 9 months vomiting? What about the 2 years changing your diaper, cleaning your feces and your urine, getting up in the night when you cried, worrying about you through your childhood sicknesses, right? Fixing food for you 3 times a day. What about all of that? What about that? What about that your mother did for you? And then your father going out in the world to provide for you, to give you clothes, give you food. It's payback. And now this culture, look what they do to their parents. They put them in old folks' homes. And they pay somebody that has no love for them, that can't wait till the end of the shift. That's all they want. They just want the day to get over because they don't want to wipe. Why should I wipe this person's bottom? I don't even know that people. When I worked in a hospital, it was very interesting because I'd noticed like Asian people would come in. They wouldn't let, some of the Asian people come, they wouldn't let the nurses clean their parents. They would stay by the bedside. Right? Really. And alhamdulillah, there's still, most of the Muslims have that understanding as well. But they're losing it. You look at these young Muslims now, these children, seriously, you better start worrying. Look at them, because they're going to school with all these non-Muslims and they're imbibing the same understandings. They're watching the cartoons that all make fun of parents. Right? They're watching the sitcomedies that make fun of parents. Like, parents are the brunt of jokes in this culture. Your parents are stupid. They don't know. They're uncool. They're unhip. Oh, deen is something else. It's teaching people to honor your parents. If you want honor from Allah, you better honor your parents. And they had that commandment, honor thy parents. That was a commandment. It's not you should take care of your parents. It's a good thing to do to take care of your parents. No, honor thy parents. It's a command. It was written in stone according to their own tradition, on the tablets. Came down from on high. And now look how they treat their parents. There's comedians that their own parents are the brunt of their jokes. They make other people laugh by making fun of their parents. So you know that Allah is Ghani, He's Hamid. Allah has no need and He's praiseworthy. He's praiseworthy, like Shaykh Ibn al-Habib said, وَفَضْلُكَ مَوْجُودٌ بِغَيْرِ وُجُودِنَا. Your fadl, your bounty exists even if we didn't exist. You don't need us to be here to be al-ilah, to be al-malik, to be al-jabbar, to be al-aziz, to be al-qahir, to be al-mu'izz, al-mudhil, al-mu'ati, al-mani', al-nafi', al-dar. You don't need us. You are perfect in yourself. Nothing perfects you. Your creation does not perfect you. Allah is perfect without His creation. He has no need of us to perfect His attributes. His attributes are perfect. This is fadl. It's just overflowing bounty. That's what all this is. All this tajalliyat, this whole world is just this bounty of Allah. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Now, after telling us to do this, right, to spend out, what does he tell us now? الشيطان يعدكم الفقر. Shaitan promises you impoverishment. This is what shaitan does. You see, shaitan promises you faqr. If you do this, if you give out the best of what you have, you'll be impoverished. Don't do that. Give out the stuff you don't need. يعدكم الفقر. He promises you poverty. Now, whether you believe in Allah or not, I mean, alhamdulillah, everybody in here believes in Allah. But out there, right, whether you believe in Allah or not, that is still going on. You see, this is the beauty of the Qur'an. The Qur'an applies its reality. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe it or not. It's happening because there's people out there, fear. It's all fear of provision. They're all worried. There was a Newsweek article that showed the flood rising, and there were these two people in total state of terror about when all the stocks were crashing. And what did it say? Are you scared yet? Have we got you scared yet? Are you scared yet? Right? And they're all scared. I might lose my job. Well, you might die tonight. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Is if you're going to be anxious about something that's really probable, that you might not get through the day. If you're going to be anxious, the only real anxiety to have in this world, as far as I can see, is anxiety about death. That's the big one. Forget all that other stuff. Because there's no guarantee about that one, right? So why are you going to worry about poverty? يَعْدُكُمُ الْفَقْرِ. That's all he can do. Oh, you might be impoverished. You might lose your job. I might die too, right? That's the response to shaitan. Can you promise me life? Can you give me a signed contract? And even if he did, don't believe him, because he's a liar. So shaitan يَعِدُكُمُ الْفَقْرِ وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. So he promises you poverty, and then what does he do? وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Why? Because he needs first to get you anxious, and then he can command you to do something that's bad. Now, if you look at this, Ibn Hazm, the great Andalusian scholar, said that the foundational state of humanity is anxiety. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ هَلُوعًا. Man was created in anxiety. Hala. That's the state of human beings. Hala. I mean, it even sounds like anxious. The word hala. I mean, it does. Hala. That's a strong word. I mean, it's scary. Hala. Whoa. That's the state of human beings. Halua. Halua. Look what the child, he comes out. What is this place? That's the first thing he's thinking. He's looking around. What is this place? I was in this nice place. I was floating around. It was all cushioned, right? You bumping up against that nice cushion of the womb, that nice heartbeat, right? Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. It's nice. They were in training with that. They felt comfortable. They had an umbilicus. They didn't have to worry about food. It was coming all the time. Into the belly, right? They didn't have to. Now they feel hunger. They want the breast. And then the first thing that happens, they get that cut off. What did you do? That's the first thing that happens. And then boom, they slap them on the bottom, right? Pinch him to get them breathing, because they're in a state of, when you're in total anxiety, you can't even breathe. That's what they're at. They're going, and then boom, and they start crying. That's hella. They're in anxiety. That's human being. Look at that. That's how you came into the world. And how do people go out of the world, right? Heart attack. Oh, what's happening? What's going on? No, seriously. Look at human being. And then everything that happens. Oh my God, I forgot my keys. What? Just relax. Right? Relax. My wallet. Right? You feel, where's my wallet? My purse. Where did I put? Why all that anxiety? That's human beings. It's a pathetic creature. Really, we're pathetic. Right? إِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعٌ. When he gets good, what's he do? Hold it back. He won't give out. Why? He's in anxiety. يَعِدُكُمُ الْفَقْرُ. See, he's saying, give out. Why won't you give out? Because your fear of poverty. إِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. When good afflicts him, he won't give out. وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. Right? Goes into jaza', hala', mana'. I mean, look at that state of human beings. It's all fear, worry. Right? So Ibn Hazm said the whole foundation of the human being is this state of anxiety. Right? It's all fear. And Shaitan knows that because he knows us. He has a good knowledge of our psychology. Some of the ulama say that Shaitan here means a nafs al-ammara, that it's actually the soul. Because the soul is a shaitan as well. Nafs al-ammara is a shaitan. Shaitan in Arabic means the disobedient, somebody who's in disobedience. There's shaitanul ins, shaitanul jinn, and then there's shaitanul nafs. So this is the promise of shaitan. You're going to be impoverished. Don't give out. Don't give out. That's what he says. وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Now, Ibn Hazm said the whole foundation of man's behavior, it can all be interpreted as tardul ham. That's what he said. Tardul ham. That's all human beings are trying to do. Stave off anxiety. He said every human action that you see, you can interpret it as an attempt to remove anxiety. Why do you eat? The anxiety of hunger. Why do you put on your clothes? The anxiety of cold, or the anxiety of humiliation for being naked, right? For exposing yourself. It's all about anxiety. Why do people go out and seek wealth? Anxiety about poverty. Why do people seek love of leadership? Anxiety about feeling like you're insignificant in the world. See, Napoleon is just a massive infant. He wants to go out and conquer the world. Genghis Khan. These are infants that use the world as their crib. And it's all about feeling important. Going to prove to the world who I am. That I'm great. Magnificent. Alexander the Great conquered the known world by the age of 33. What was driving him? What was the drive in him that wanted him to do that? Right? Immortality, Gilgamesh. His attempt at immortality. That's what human beings do. Everything that you see them doing. Why do we seek out friends? Fear of solitude. The anxiety of being alone. Why do people turn on music? Anxiety of silence. Silence creates anxiety. Americans, they've done studies where if they close their eyes and start meditating, a lot of Americans have acute anxiety attacks. Just from meditating. Why do people fear surgery? Loss of consciousness. People are afraid of being helpless. Right? All these things, it's all fear. That's what it is. And Shaitan knows that. So, يَعِدُكُمُ الْفَقْرَ وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Because what happens is, if you have anxiety, that's when, see, even shahwa, people will fulfill their shahwa. Why? Because fear of missing a pleasure. The anxiety of missing a pleasure. So they'll actually fulfill a pleasure because they're afraid of missing it. There's children, they hate to go to sleep. They don't want to go to sleep. Why? Because they're going to miss something. They want to stay awake. That consciousness is amazing. They don't want to go to sleep. That's why it's difficult to put a child down. They'll go until they drop. But to actually get them in bed and have them lie down, it's very difficult to do that. Because they think they're going to miss something. This is the way human beings are. They have anxiety. Everything's anxiety. It's all anxiety. Hum. Right? Himma is aspiration. It comes from the same root, anxiety. So your himma is related to anxiety. Why do people seek knowledge? Fear of ignorance. Fear of people treating them with contempt. In this culture, it's a big thing in this culture. If you don't have a degree, right? If you don't have they don't care even if you have a phony degree. They'll hang a phony degree on the wall. There's people that'll pay money to get themselves in who's who, and why are you wasting your money? You didn't do anything. Or get there, pay $1,000. You can get $1,000 and you'll be given some thing that says you're one of the top doctors in America. You can pay it. Hang it in your office. Why are you doing that? You didn't do it. You just had $1,000 to give away to a for-profit organization. You would have been better off giving it to a non-profit organization. And then you really would have been one of the best doctors in America. But only Allah would know. But you don't want that. You want other people to know. Right? Not enough that Allah knows. Because how does that benefit me in the world? All these benefits people want. It's all trying to get something. Everybody wants. That's why cynics, because they know themselves so well, they can only interpret everybody else. What's the bottom line? What's his agenda? What's he really trying to get? See, that's a cynic because that's his state. Right? It's from a Greek word, dog-like. Right? That's what a cynic is. They're like dogs. That's why when the munafiqun, see, they wouldn't do anything that they didn't have some worldly benefit for it. They didn't like Isha and Fajr because it was at dark, nobody could see them. When they went to Dhuhr, Asr and Maghrib, people could see them. They say, oh, so-and-so was in the prayer line. But Isha and Fajr, it was dark. There was no electricity in Medina. And if it wasn't a moonlit night, they didn't want to go. Nobody would notice they weren't there. Allah would. That's not a major concern. So this is the sickness of the soul. So he says everybody's just trying to remove this anxiety, this state of hala. Ibn Hazm said that they'll go to great lengths to do this. Expend their energy. And he said, and yet they won't be able to get rid of it. Because no matter how much money you have, you want more. The more they get, the more they want. They never get satiated. That's what Imam al-Busiri in the Burda, he said, don't fulfill your appetites thinking that you'll break it. Right? He said, haven't you seen how the gourmand, the glutton, only increases in his desire for food the more he eats? That's the nature. The more you get, the more you want. There's a hadith, لا يملأ فاء ابن آدم إلا تراب قبره. Nothing will fill the mouth of the son of Adam except the dirt of his grave. That's the only thing. لو كانت له واد من ذهب لتمنى واديا آخر. Had he had a valley of gold, he just wants another valley of gold. That's Ibn Adam. That's his state. If he has a valley of gold, he wants another valley. لا يشبع. Right? There's no shaba. Tama'. You know, one of the grammarians noted that all the letters of tama' have circles in them. Ta, ain, mim, and ain. Because he said that's the nature of tama'. It's hollow in the middle. It's just always empty. Tama'. Just more and more. Yatma'. Yatma'. And look at shaba', which is to be shabi'tu. Sheen, yatafasha. It spreads out. Ba closes the hollow. And then ain is the source, the jawf. So it gets filled. Right? That's what shabi'tu. I can't eat anymore. I'm full. Shaba'. So then so this is what shaitan does. He gets, do that. You need to do that. No, take it, even though it's haram. If you don't do it, you'll miss out, and that's stupid. So it's all promises of dunya, worldly gain. This is what shaitan promises. It's all worldly gain. He can't promise you the next world. He makes you fear this world. كَلَّا بِلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةِ. You love the ajila. What is the ajila? The immediate world. What is shaitan? What's his favorite thing? Ajala. Al-ajalatu min ash-shaitan. Immediacy is from shaitan. Your immediate needs. You have immediate needs. Don't give out. What does Allah say? لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You won't gain righteousness until you give out what you love. It's not what you don't love. Anybody can do that. Anybody can give those computers they want to throw away. But who can give that brand new computer they just bought for themselves when they see that somebody needs it for the sake of Allah? Right? Who can give that money that when the stock drops, right? It's easy to give your stocks. They were worth $80. Now they're worth $2. Well, I'll just donate them to the masjid. That's easy to do. It's when they were riding high. Well, I'll just wait. And then shaitan, even if you want to give, he'll say, no, just wait. They'll get higher. He'll work every angle. That's the nature of shaitan, because he's the con man. He's the guy that does the shell game. Right? Flipping the shells around, the peas in one of them. I can see it. I'm going to work this out. That's what the shell game is based on. These guys that sit on the streets and do the shell game, it's based on you watching him and you think, I know where the shell is. You didn't see him take the pea out. It's not even there. It's sleight of hand. That's what shaitan's doing. It's all sleight of hand. And then in the end, you get cheated. Right? That's what he does. And then what's he do? Inni bari'un minkum. Don't blame me. La talumuni. Lumu anfusakum. Don't blame me. Blame yourselves. You got the message. You heard the warning. You were given all his strategies. You were told who he is. Now the question is, do you really believe? Do you believe the book? Right? Do you really believe this? Because it's there. Don't think it's not there. All of you have it. You all know it. You want to give out, but you think, I need that. It's hard to do. You heard it. Right? You heard it. Oh, but saving is from Islam too. Right? So you'll justify it. You'll work it all out in your mind. Make it all work. Why is it that when people's iman is high, they give out? Why is that? There's people that won't give out, and then their iman shoots up, and boom, they give out. Why is it only when the iman's high? I mean, isn't that interesting? Why don't people give out when the iman's low? You see what? I mean, it's about iman. And then you find out when you give it out, you didn't lose it. Right? I mean, I had something I loved so much, and I was in the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ, and there was an old sheikh there, and he just had his eye on this, and I really didn't want to give it away. But I'm thinking, I'm in the mosque of the Prophet, this old man's here. I said, Bismillah. I still think about it every once in a while. But sometimes I think maybe that'll get me into paradise. Because he was so happy. But maybe if I wasn't in the masjid of the Prophet, I wouldn't have done that. Really, maybe I wouldn't have done it. Maybe if I was here, I wouldn't have done it. Just would have ignored him. And then when we walked away, Shaykh Abdullah Wuld Ahmed, who was with me, he said, Tama' mushkila. Because the man, he really wanted it from me. It was mine, but he wanted it, and he let me know he wanted it. And so that was his tama', right? That wanted the khalas. What big deal? He was a poor man. I could go if I wanted now. I could go replace it. Really. Most of the things that you have, you could replace. If you gave away your Lexus, you could replace it. Seriously. Think about that. Most of the things you really have, you could replace them. Might take a little time, but you can do it. So why the fear? Because maybe I can't. Maybe I won't be able to. That's all wahm. That's wahm. Right? What a beautiful word, wahm. It's a beautiful word, wahm. Begins harf illa. It's a weak radical, wow. It's the weakest one, wow. And then ha, coming from that empty source. Ha comes from the jawf, right? And then meme. It ends up nothing there. Right? Just close your mouth. Wahm. Wahm is illusion, right? That's what this whole thing is, just a bunch of wahm. Everything you own is wahm. Your own family's wahm. You're wahm. The whole thing, really, it's all wahm. Right? Al-wahmu huwa al-hijabu. That is the veil. All this illusion. Because we're all going to die. We leave this place. It goes. We leave it. Every single one of us. There were people 1,000 years ago teaching Qur'an. 1,000 years ago. Think about that. 1,400 years ago. People reading this verse that I'm reading now. Here we are today in California looking at a verse. There was somebody giving tafsir 1,000 years ago. Telling people 1,000 years ago. Shaitan ya'idukum al-faqr. Right? He was telling. Now they're all gone. They're all dead. There he was. The wa'il. Reminding people, look, it's here. It's true. Believe it. Some did, some didn't. But they all died. So he commands you to fahsha because he's got you in that state of anxiety. If you're not in that state of anxiety, he's got no power over you. That's why he knows, first I have to get him anxious. Then I can tell him, don't give out. Because if he's not anxious, he'll just give out. And shaitan has no power. So his power is anxiety. يَعِدُكُمْ الْفَقْرِ الشَّيْطَانُ يَعِدُكُمْ الْفَقْرِ وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ. But what does Allah promise? Maghfirah. Forgiveness. Minhu. It's not just maghfirah. It's minhu. Allah could have said, وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً. That's enough in the Arabic language. He promises you forgiveness. But he says, maghfiratan minhu, just to let you know. Because عظم المعطي, right? يدل على عظم المعطى. The vastness of the giver indicates the greatness of the gift. Maghfirah from Allah. Now what is shaitan promising you? He's promising you something which is waham. Do you understand that? يَعِدُكُمْ الْفَقْرِ. Will you become impoverished? Maybe you will, but maybe you won't. Now we know if it's about sadaqah, what does the Prophet ﷺ say? مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. Wealth is not diminished by charity. That's a promise. So if you believe in Allah, His promise is false. But even if we grant that He يَعِدُكُمْ الْفَقْرِ, maybe you will become impoverished, but maybe you won't. It's only probable. Now, what is it in relation to? What is His promise in relation to? The dunya. It's only related to dunya. He's not promising that you're going to be impoverished in the akhirah. That's what will happen if you don't give out in the dunya. He's working on your love of dunya. He's working on your love of being in the world. That's what He's. What is Allah promising? Maghfirah in the akhirah. Minhu, from Allah subhanahu. His wa'ad is about akhirah. It's about infinity. It's not about finite. It's not about, you're going to lose $100,000. You're going to lose 200. No, this is about infinity. Maghfirah minhu. Wa fadlan. And bounty. Fadl. In other words, you'll have bounty in the world as well. He's promising you that. Because Allah is not promising you scarcity. Allah, the whole crux of this sentiment in the Qur'an is that we live in a bounteous universe. We have a bounteous Lord. See, there's two ways of looking at the world. There's the way of scarcity, and then there's the way of bounty. These people it's all about scarcity. There's not enough water. The water tables are dropping, right? There's not enough gas. Oil's about to go out, right? There's not enough food. There's going to be great famines. It's all fear. Do you see? This is what they're working on. It's all fear. There's not enough jobs to go around. There's overpopulation. There's not enough land. It's all scarcity. That's what they do. Because shaitan, this is all, don't think, believe that this is true. Qur'an is telling us the truth. And this is what they're working on. They're playing on anxieties. Right? The topsoil's disappearing. Right? All this fear. It's all about fear, fear, fear. Look at the earth. There was a time in America when they said a squirrel could go from the East Coast to Oregon and not touch the ground. There were so many trees. They're all gone. Right? They're all gone. The same is true of North Africa. People don't realize this. North Africa used to be jungles. The word in Arabic where Marabt al-Hajj lives is called Taganat, which means in Berber, it means jungle. It's a desert now. Who made it a desert? Right? It was made a desert by the Arabs. Ibn Khaldun said Bani Hilal crossed North Africa like locusts. See, we're not the only one. I mean, they think now these are the only people that have ever been guilty of crimes against the earth. It's an old thing. The Romans, the Muslims did it. We made our mistakes. Many people made our mistakes. Many people have made these mistakes. But look at how at each level, what was the primary fuel of the earth? Initially, wood. Wood's all gone. We're worried now about what's left, if it's produced enough oxygen for us. Then what showed up after wood? When all the forests were gone? Coal. Where'd that come from? Hidden all that time. Why didn't people discover it when there was no wood? And then coal started causing all the problems and diminishing in numbers. Then what shows up? Oil. And now oils is going to go. It's going to disappear. Put everybody in a state of anxiety. Why is it that everything man needs, man gets provided for? His needs are met. They've always been met. They've never not been met. We're still here after all these millennia. Still eating, still drinking, still procreating. But when you're not in a state of devotion, Allah will meet your needs, but they'll harm you. So our fuel is toxic. We still get it, but it's toxic. If we were doing the right thing, Allah would give us things that didn't harm us. But He does that. Why? لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَضَرَّعُونَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Maybe they'll return to it. Maybe they'll enter into a state of humbleness and beg for help. That is all done for a reason. So this is what shaitan does. وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ. Allah is vast, alim, all-knowing. Shaitan is not vast. Shaitan is not all-knowing. Now, after all of this, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? يُؤْتِي الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. But this is wisdom. The people that are able to understand this are wise people. And He gives His wisdom to whomever He pleases. The Qur'an is what? Al-Qur'an al-Hakim. It's the wise Qur'an. وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And whoever is given hikmah is given great good. وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. But only people of innermost core remember this. Lub. Lub is the seed, it's the pith. People of pith, weighty people, pithy people. Weighty people, not empty people. Because human beings are between aql and humq. Aql is intelligence, humq is foolishness. And what's in between is sukhf. Sakhif. That's why most people, if you look out there, are in a state of hamaqa. Even the intelligent people, they're all in a state of hamaqa, stupidity. Because what is an aql? Allah says about the kuffar, hum qawmun la ya'qilun. They're people that don't use their aql. What is aql? What does aql? What is the benefit derived from aql? Is that you're able to weigh things. Intellectus in Latin means to judge between things. Aql enables you to judge between falsehood and truth in the ma'qulat, in the intelligibles, and right and wrong in the mu'amalat. You have ma'qulat and you have mu'amalat. Aql is the ability to judge between truth and falsehood in the intelligibles and between right and wrong in the transactions. So the human being has a rational and a moral component. Both of them are related to the intellect. And that is what the aql is. The aql يَعْقِلُكَ عَنِ الْبَاطِلِ. It prevents you from falling into falsehood. وَيَعْقِلُكَ عَنِ الْحَرَامِ. and it prevents you from entering into the wrong in your moral transactions. That's what aql is. So if you see people out there, no matter how intelligent they are, no matter how, see, daha is cleverness. What's called daha. The Arabs have words for all these things. We used to. A clever person is not an aql. For instance, there's Wall Street people, Boski type people. There's no doubt that they're clever. They're dahiya. They have daha. But it's not aql. Because their cleverness does not prevent them from doing wrong and does not encourage them to do right. So in the end, like the Arabs say, قَتَلُهُ ذَكَاؤُهُ, his cleverness killed him. Ibn Taymiyyah called one man, he's one of the philosophers, he said, ذِكِي غَيْرُ ذِكِي. He was clever but not pure. ذِكِي غَيْرُ ذِكِي. So you want aql. That's what we want. لَعَلُكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. That's what this is all about. It's learning to use the intellect. And the intellect is trained by education first and foremost. You have to educate the mind. The mind has amazing innate abilities, but it also has amazing innate flaws. And that's what learning does. It separates what's good from the intellect from what's bad, because the intellect will trip you up. Just like an aql can stop you, prevent you from the truth as well. The iqal, the thing that the aql can do that. Ibn Hazm says that the majority of people have this quality of sukh. They'll talk about things of no benefit to them. He said that they'll desire things that can, he said the world is like this, he said it's like a wheel being turned by a torrent. Like these water wheels, but there's a torrent coming down. He said you can't stop the wheel. He said all your wishes are empty wishes. You're not going to change things by wishing. You change things by engaging the world. So that's what he said. You can spend your life just talking about things. And then there's other people that go out and do things. They engage the world. They change things. And they're easy to criticize, those people. But the people that criticize them are people sitting on the sidelines. That's who criticizes. You'll always see the critics are people on the sidelines. They're not in the world. They're not engaging the world. They're just watching, oh, look at that guy. He's trying to do this. Look at that person. It's so stupid. This and that. It's an empty life. And then when they die, they just find out they just wasted their life. He said it's better to have a good opinion of everybody, have good feelings, goodwill towards everybody. He said have goodwill towards everybody. Desire good for everybody on the planet. Why desire evil for people? It comes from an empty source. People that want the destruction of another people that want... there are some evil people on the world. There's no doubt. There are people, they're just evil. The majority of people, they're fence sitters. What you need to do is tip the fence over. Inshallah. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله